Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is Svea Becker speaking from the SAP Community team, and I would welcome you to today's SAP Community call with my speaker AJ. AJ is my colleague from SAP, and he has been with SAP for 15 years now, and working across functions like consulting, product management, and business development in these years. He is currently part of the SAP S/4HANA product success and co-innovation team, and his focus is there to increase the adoption of SAP Intelligent RPA for SAP S/4HANA customers. So welcome, AJ. I'm really happy that you're here with me, and the stage is yours now. You can start.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Rhea, for a wonderful introduction. And hello, everyone. So a very warm welcome from my side as well. So as you know, the topic of today's webinar is about SAP Intelligent RPA Bot Store. So we want to introduce you to this whole concept of best practice content that we have created in the area of SAP Intelligent RPA. And we have already published this content in something called as a bot store. So we have standard content that is available, say, for S/4HANA automation. We have a lot of content available for ECC as well. And all throughout the webinar today, my objective would be to make you aware of this particular bot store that we have, what all content is available there, and how can our customers easily consume this content. Okay, so let me move on. Oh, Swaya has already given the introduction, so I'll skip this part. All right, so what would be the agenda for today? So we also know that, there would be different people with different kind of skills who would be joining this webinar. So we thought that it would be good to start with a little bit of recap or an introduction of SAP Intelligent RPA, a little bit of overview. Then we would directly go into the bot store part. So maybe I will also go into the system and show you how you can access this bot store, what are the different bots, how you can consume it. And the analogy, that we can also draw here is the consumption experience in our smartphone. Now, all of us, I'm sure, are smartphone users. We either may be having an Apple device or an Android device. And just imagine that if you have to install an app, so what do? For an Apple user, you go to an app store. For Android user, you go to the Play Store, look at a particular app and just install it. Now, this is almost a similar experience that we have tried to create in the area of SAP Intelligent RPA. So I would like to show you that as well. Then we would also do a demo wherein not only via PPT slides, we will actually log into something called as SAP Intelligent RPA Cloud Factory. We will try to access the bot store from there and just try to see for ourselves how easy it is to deploy the standard content which SAP has already provided. Towards the end, I would also want to leave you with a call to action, which is a 90-day free trial of SAP Intelligent RPA that is currently going on. So I will introduce a little bit on that topic, and then we can always have the floor open for questions. So to start with, okay, so what is SAP Intelligent RPA and why is SAP focusing so much on this topic right now? So as the name itself suggests, RPA is SAP's solution, the main objective of which is to automate the repetitive tasks or the manual tasks which happen in any organization. Now, if we take a step back and if we see the industrial revolution and the technology trends that have changed. So earlier, during the industrial revolution era, the more and more focus was on hardware bots. We were trying to see how can we automate those shop floor processes, the hardware process, the shop floor and the machine processes. Focus was on hardware robots. Now, as we advance through certain stages of innovation, now we have software that is lying everywhere around us. So now the focus is how to identify these software tasks and can we automatically or can we automate the manual tasks so that the human workforce can spend time on certain value-added tasks. Now, very broadly, in terms of deployment mode, there are two kinds of automations that can happen in case of RPA. The first could be unattended and the other one could be attended. Now, unattended mode is like a digital worker. Okay, so apart from the human workforce, you can imagine that now you have also recruited certain digital workforce for you. So these are the digital workers who will get triggered at certain point of time. They will do their tasks and then they will go back and sit in the server. A typical example could be, imagine that you are receiving certain business documents in your emails. In this example, we have quoted purchase orders. It could be anything. If you are in the accounts receivable or the accounts payable department, these could be supplier invoices, customer invoices, any sort of such attachments. So imagine that you are receiving those particular attachments, say as PDF files in your Outlook, and there is a bot which runs at a particular frequency, scans through your emails, looks for a particular subject, extracts those attachments, and puts it in a folder. And not only that, now the bot goes a step further and also reads the data of these attachments, reads the data of Excel sheets, reads the data of PDF documents, even scanned images, and ultimately it creates a business document in your ERP system. So the bot is automatically running on itself. The other mode is kind of hybrid mode, which is called as an attended mode. So in which the human worker has more control. So the human being can decide at which point of the process does he or she need to trigger the bot. So when the human worker triggers the bot can run and do certain tasks. So in the example given out here, we have an example of an insurance clerk who receives, say, a phone call based on a particular incident that would have happened with a customer. And based on this particular call, the insurance clerk now needs to act. Maybe he would trigger a bot, the bot would go to 10 different systems, extract the data, and then present the insurance clerk with a dashboard. Okay, so this is in essence what is SAP Intelligent RPA. Now coming to the solution overview, again, on a very high level. Okay, one of the fundamental things that we need to remember when we talk about SAP Intelligent RPA is that it can connect to SAP applications as well as it can connect to non-SAP applications. Okay, so just that this product is coming out of SAP suite, sometimes there is a myth that it can only automate SAP applications or SAP processes in an SAP application. So this is not true. It can as well connect to non-SAP applications as well. And broadly, there are two modes in which SAP Intelligent RPA connects to any application. It is via either the UI, which is called as the screen scraping, and the other is the API. Now, let me come to the three most important components of SAP Intelligent RPA. The first component is called as a desktop studio. Okay, so this is a design time environment. Now, who will use this particular tool and what is it used for? This tool of RPA, the first component of SAP Intelligent RPA, which is Desktop Studio, would be used by the developers. They will use this design time environment to create custom bots of their own. Okay. Currently, it is on-premise. It is an on-premise component. You just have to install it. Going forward, we also have a roadmap to bring it in the cloud itself. Then comes the most important component or the central component of RPA, which is called as the Cloud Factory. Now, this is the central component, as I said, which is used for orchestration and monitoring. So this component is on the SAP Cloud Platform, and it is here that you will acquire certain bots from the bot store. You will also deploy the bots that have been created by your developers. And then here you choose which are those bots which will run in your organization, which are those agents or users who would be allowed to run those bots. And you can also then monitor these bots. And now let's come to the third component of RPA, which is called as the desktop agent. Okay. This is again a very lightweight on-premise component, which is used to execute the bot. Okay. So again, just to summarize, you develop the bot in the desktop studio. You deploy those bots in the cloud factory, and from the cloud factory, you push the bots to desktop agent where you actually execute the bot. And who would use the desktop agent? Desktop agent would be used by the end users of a company. Say if I am a user in the finance department of a company and you have already done an automation for me in terms of some bots, then I would only have access to desktop agent. I will see the list of bots that I'm supposed to run and I can run those bots. Okay. So in a sense, these are the three main components of SAP Intelligent RPA. Now I think we have everybody on the same page as to the background or what SAP Intelligent RPA is all about. Now let us come to the main topic of this webinar today, which is about the standard best practice content and the bot store. Now, so as I was mentioning earlier, so just like say an Apple store or just like a Play Store, what SAP has also created is called as SAP Intelligent RPA Bot Store. So it is here that we have published our best practices bots. Now these bots are across all lines of businesses, spanning from finance to sourcing and procurement, sales, manufacturing, you name it, we have it. Right now, the current count, to be very precise, I think is 106. So we have 106, 5 or 6, best practices bots already available in the bot store, and we keep on increasing this count every month. So we have a monthly release cycle wherein we keep on increasing these number of bots. Okay. So now let us do one thing. Rather than looking at the bot store from a presentation mode, I would go to Internet Explorer, Chrome in this case, and I'll just try to show you how the bot store looks like. You can also do it as well. I mean, you can go to internet. You can just Google it. You Google the term SAP Intelligent RPA bot store. You will be directed towards the bot store. So the point is, it is freely accessible to everybody in the world. Okay. So this is the SAP Intelligent RPA bot store, and what you see here in these rectangles are nothing but the bots that we have. We also have certain filter categories provided. For example, if I am a finance user and I'm only interested in looking at, okay, what are the bots that you have for me in the finance domain, I'll click on, say, the finance checkbox filter, and I will only see the finance related box. Now what happens inside this? So imagine, okay, so I suppose if I want to know some more details about this particular bot, which is about automated upload of bank statement files. So I'll go inside that particular bot, and I can read the summary as well. For example, this bot is applicable to which versions? Will it work with S/4HANA on-premise? Will it work with S/4HANA Cloud? Will it work with ECC? Things like that. And I can read the basic information about this particular bot. Now, in the webinar ahead, I will also show you what are the files which are contained in these bots and how we can deploy this. But for the moment, the main message here is that there is something called as SAP Intelligent RPA Bot Store, which lists all the bots that SAP provides, and this can be accessed by anyone and everyone. Okay. Now let me come back to the presentation. Okay. Here in the next few slides, we have also tried to list down some important bots that are available in different lines of businesses. For example, if we talk about, say, finance. So we already have covered the basic necessities of automation when it comes to finance. For example, one of the backbone of any financial system is journal entries, right? So sometimes you may be receiving the journal entry data, say, from outside your ERP system. So there is a bot which helps in automation of that process as well. Similarly, sometimes what happens is, say your suppliers, they keep on sending you emails asking about the status of their invoice. What happened to the invoice that I submitted? Is it already approved? When am I going to receive the payment for that, this and that? So there is the bot, which I'll also talk about in detail later, which handles this process. So again, we have tried to list down all these bots. So this presentation would be made available to you after this call. You can also have a look at all the bots for your quick reference. And these same bots are also available on the bot store. So as I said, we have categorized it based on line of businesses. So that was finance. Similarly for procurement, we have many bots which take care of purchase requisition process, automation of purchase orders, purchase order confirmations. In terms of sales or the order to cash process as well, the very basic bot or the basic requirement of sales, that is creation of sales orders. So that is all covered along with many other processes. When it comes to manufacturing or production, again, we have lots and lots of bots which talk about production orders, process orders, their completions, things like that. Yeah. So I won't go to the detail of each and every bot here. So what we can do is, maybe I have tried to highlight certain bots, and let's go to those bots in detail. And then I'll take you through the system as well. So one of the mostly inquired bots by our customers is in the procurement area. And this talks about the creation of purchase requisitions from Excel sheets. So what does it essentially do? So essentially, there was a requirement with many customers that they have the purchase requisition data in terms of Excel sheets. And now they had to spend a lot of time in manually entering that data in a ERP system to create the purchase requisition. So this bot essentially does that. It reads an Excel sheet which has a list of all the purchase requisitions. The bot understands that data and then goes to S/4HANA system and creates those purchase requisition entries from that particular Excel sheet. Let me go to another bot, which is in the finance area. And this talks about supplier invoice status checks. Now, this is again a main pain point. I mean, if you have worked in the finance area of any organization, or if you have dealt with finance users, they will tell you that this is a mundane process which they definitely would want to avoid. They get emails from different suppliers, and the main objective of that email is, okay, please let us know what is the status of our invoice that we had raised. Now, what does the accounts payable person has to do? He or she has to manually go to an S/4HANA system, go to 2-3 Fiori applications or 2-3 transactions, get all the data from there, combine that data together, and that email it to the supplier. Now imagine that there is this bot already prepared, which on just the click of a button automates the entire process. It gets the supplier number, it gets the supplier reference, invoice reference number from the email or from that Excel sheet, goes to the system, goes to 2-3 different transactions, consolidates the data, and automatically sends that email to the supplier also. Okay, imagine now the kind of the number of hours that have been saved for the accounts payable employees. Okay, let me take another finance example, which is also very important when it comes to finance and journal entries or the customer invoice and the supplier invoice parts. Now, till now, the example that I gave was mostly, there is an Excel sheet lying out there, and you fill the data in that Excel sheet, be it purchase requisitions or be it, say, supplier invoice data, and the bot will read the Excel sheet and create some records in your S/4HANA system. Now, an argument against this could be, so what is so great about it? I mean, I can do the same thing if I have an API or a BAPI, and I can just create a custom program for it, right? Now, RPA is not just that. RPA is much more beyond creation of these custom programs and all. It can definitely replace that, plus many other things. For example, there are all these inbuilt capabilities which are there in the RPA platform, wherein not only, say, the bot can read an Excel sheet, it can also go through your email account based on certain criteria, read certain emails, extract the attachments, extract the data out of it, and then create in the S/4HANA system. Now, that was the generic example which I gave earlier. To be more specific, here is a bot which actually does that. Okay, so it goes through your Outlook email Outlook. It reads certain mails based on certain criteria, extracts the information and creates supplier invoices, customer invoices, and journal ledger entries in your S/4HANA system. Coming to the sales order part, okay. So yeah, essentially now I think by now you would know, what this bot would do. So this bot would read the sales order data from Excel sheet and manually and automate the process of creating sales order. Since this month, we have added another flexibility to the sales order bot. Now we provide both the options to the user. So at the start of the bot, the user can choose whether I want to read the sales order information, say from an Excel sheet, which is placed in my computer, or do I want the bot to go through my emails and and scan my emails for some attachments of sales orders. So this flexibility is also available now with the sales order bot. Again, sales inquiry, I wouldn't like to go into the detail of that. I mean, by now, I think you would have already understood the main concept that I was trying to say, that across lines of businesses, we have created certain standard best practices bots which automate the basic processes in these LOBs. So as the name suggests, sales inquiry bot will create sales inquiries for you in the S/4HANA system based on the input data. I think just the last bot that I would like to touch before we go into the system is the post goods movement bot. And why is it so important? This is, I mean, anyone who would have worked, say, in an ERP system in the supply chain area or in the logistics module would be familiar with the concept of goods movement. I mean, when you do a goods receipt, there is a certain movement type that you have to do. When you do goods issue, or when you do goods issue against a purchase order or a procure or a production order, there are certain entries and exits, the movement types that you have to provide. Now, this is a very manual task. Now imagine that there was a production order, it generated a lot of materials, and once the production order got generated, then one by one the system operator had to go inside an ERP system and enter the goods receipt and the goods issue against that production order. Imagine that everything now can be automated. There is a simple Excel sheet and you can just mention your input data here, just specify the movement type. Now, why I wanted to mention this bot is because this is so flexible. It caters to all the movement types, be it goods issue, goods receipt, or stock transfer, or any sort of movement type. You just need to specify the movement type here, specify the data. There are also certain other technical steps that you have to do, like creation of a JSON format and all. Not too complex actually, but then once you do that, this whole process is automated for you. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me take a pause at this moment and just check if there are some questions in the chat or if there is anyone who would like to ask.
Yes, Arjun, very nice stop. There's a question, but it's in regards to master data management. So do you have any bots related to master data management?
Yeah, very good question. And yes, we do have bots related to master data topic as well. So for example, if you can see in this slide, we have lots of standard bots which are there for the creation of business partner data, or when it comes to production order related settings, or manufacturing or supply chain related settings like bill of materials, routing with reference, without reference. So all these bots are already there in master data category as well.
Perfect. So I hope this answers the question. Then there is one person who wants to speak up. I allow to talk now. Srinivas Rao, you can speak now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Srinivas, please go on.
Hi, Ajay. So in one of the slides I think for manufacturing, you showed there are certain bots, but which are very specific to the cloud version and
Yes.
do not seem to be available on the on-premise. So what exactly is the reason that it is on cloud and not on-premise?
So right now, the reason would be the existence of APIs, Srinivas. So mostly, as you can see, these are API-based bots. So we have not officially tested those for the on-premise version. However, the processes would remain the same, right? Mostly, I would say not all, but mostly the processes in the cloud and the on-premise world may remain the same. And what we would have to do is then just copy the content of the standard delivered bot and just try to see how do we now connect it to the on-premise bot. There could be a BAPI that is already available, or maybe using UI screen scraping, we would want to achieve that. But that is the fundamental reason why we would not have released till now, because we haven't officially tested and those APIs may not be available.
Okay, I have another question. Sorry, Ajay.
Yeah.
I have actually scanned through the bot store, and as far as I could see, there is no standard bot which is for a draft enabled Fiori app. Maybe I missed something, but is there anything on top of your head which says that, okay, this particular bot is specifically for a Fiori app which is draft enabled?
Sorry, Srinivas. I mean, I would not know that at the moment.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Srinivas. So there are more questions. Is there, can you say a couple of words in regards to licenses?
Oh yeah. I can talk about licenses as well. So licensing is also something which uniquely, distinguishes SAP Intelligent RPA. So let's start with these bots also. So I told we have say 100 plus bots that are already available in the bot store. So one question would be, do you charge based on the bots? Suppose if I'm a customer and if I'm using one bot, so have you priced it separately? So the answer is that from an SAP perspective, we will not charge you whether you use one bot or 5 bots, 10 bots, 100 bots. Okay, you are free to use any number of bots. Similarly, we will not charge you based on the number of custom bots that you build. The only metric that we have for pricing in RPA is the transaction. So we will charge you only based on the number of RPA transactions that you would do. Let me also qualify it further. For example, let us take this example which is on the screen, say purchase requisition creation from an Excel. Now assume that we have a bot which runs, which reads an Excel sheet which has say 1000 purchase requisition items, and it goes and create 1000 purchase requisitions in your S/4HANA system. Now for S/4HANA, these are 1000 transactions that have taken place. But from an RPA perspective, it is only one transaction that has taken place. Okay, so the count of RPA transaction here is only one. And as I said, to summarize, we only charge you based on the number of RPA transactions that you do. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, I think so, but let me see. Does this mean that one bot with different scenarios to be run separately also count for one bot? I don't know if this is related, but
Yeah. No, yeah. So sometimes what people also try to do is they try to create the bot in a so complex way just to avoid the licensing. They may try to have too many workflows in the same bot. So yes, technically you would still count it as one bot transaction, but then the complexity of your bot will increase, and so maybe the performance of your bot may not be that great.
okay, thank you. So there is one more question. Is SAP Intelligent RPA capable to do job in SAP area or can be used out of SAP software?
Yeah. So yeah, I think we had one slide on that. So yeah, SAP Intelligent RPA can be used to connect to non-SAP applications as well.
Great. Another question, how are we managing in security area? Because the bot is available to outside the SAP world also. This is almost the same.
Yeah. So we do have a very tight security measures in place as well. So there is a security guide which talks about all the different security measures and protocols that we have considered. Maybe if the time permits, I can point to that security guide, or you can also find it, in the help documentation of SAP Intelligent RPA as well. But just to summarize and from a layman's perspective. See, these bots which are running are in your local machine, okay, in your environment. So if say if a user was able to do the things manually in that environment, the bot is also going to do the similar things, just automate those things. The the thing which passes to the cloud are only certain log information that goes to the SAP Cloud Platform. So I would not say it is a big security threat or a violation or too different from the way you are currently executing your steps right
Okay,
now. Okay.
thank you. Yeah. Then there are two more. A question about if there is anything for basis respective. I don't know if this is helping you or if we need more information on what really wants, what the.
From basis perspective, so yes, so there is a task. I think one standard bot that we have released is the creation of communication arrangements. So in the cloud, similar to an RFC connection, we have something called as creation of communication arrangements. So where you have to specify the communication system, communication user, which communication, which system do you want to connect to. Currently, it is a manual activity that has to be done by the administrators of the system. But then, yeah, we have automated that as well.
Okay, I hope this answers the question. And coming back to the charges, does it include non-production transaction to be chargeable?
At the moment, yes. Yes, you're right. At the moment, it includes the non-productive transactions as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So then you can go ahead with the demo.
All right. All right. I think, yeah, maybe it was a good thing. So there were too many questions. So at least some of them are, answered
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So,
perfect.
yeah.
And yeah, if there are more questions, you can use the Q&A and we will have some time at the end after the demo.
Definitely. Okay, so now let's do this thing. So till now, whatever we have seen is in those slides and maybe just a sneak preview of the bot store. So now let me just go to the actual system and try to show you how it looks like and how easily you can consume it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in to one component of one component of RPA, the central component, which is called as a cloud factory. So as you remember, there were three components of RPA: Cloud Factory, Desktop Studio, and Desktop Agent. So this is the central component, the main component. So I am going to now log in to this particular component, which is called as the Cloud Factory, which is the main component or the central component of RPA.
AJ, I'm sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. Sometimes your headset has some, I don't know, we cannot hear you properly anymore, but then it's coming back. So I don't know if you move your head or something. So sometimes it's hard to understand you, but now it's better again.
Okay, no, I had just pulled the headset near my mouth. I wouldn't do that. I think now it is better. I'll
Yeah,
just
now
maintain
it's
this
good.
posture. Okay. All right. So the screen that you see, the dashboard kind of a screen that you see is the main page that say any administrator would see once he or she logs into the Cloud Factory. Okay. So as you can see here, you can see, how many packages that you have. Packages means number of bots that you have deployed. So it shows that in my organization, I have 66 packages that I have deployed. I have 25 agents, which means that there are 25 users who are connected to my Cloud Factory. These 25 users are now using my bots. And also, obviously, if it is an administrative console, you would want to monitor the job status. Which are the successful bots that have run? Which are the bots which have failed? If something has failed, then why it has failed? You want to debug the logs and all. So all this information is provided. But the part which I want to really stress now is this right-hand menu option, which is called as the store. Okay. So now I have just clicked on the store from within the Cloud Factory. This is the same store now, which has opened, which I showed you earlier, which is the SAP Intelligent RPA bot store. Now, this is that consumption experience which I was talking to you about earlier. We are so used to these apps and installation of apps in our personal devices, say a smartphone. We go to some store, navigate through an app and install it. Similarly, from the Cloud Factory, I have clicked on the store and I will click on, say, the bot, say that I'm interested in, and all that I have to do, okay, all that I have to do is click on this button called as get. That is it. So within seconds, this particular bot will get acquired in my cloud factory. Okay, let me show you that. So I will just click on this button called as get, and it is currently showing that, okay, this particular bot, the status is ongoing, and that's it. It's success. So what has happened now? So what has happened is from the bot store, okay, the bot has now come and resided in my cloud factory. Now where it will come, where will it come and reside? It will come and reside in something called as packages. Okay, so these are similar to the best practice packages. Now I can go and look at the content of these packages. For example, I now need to know as a consultant or as an end user as well, not an end user, rather a person who needs to now deploy this bot, what to do next. Okay. So what I will do is, this is see the package which I just created. I will just go inside this particular package. Okay. Again, it will give me some basic information about the version settings and all. And there is a very, very important section called as files. Now in this files, I will have access to primarily 4 things. The first is something called as an archive, okay, which is a zip file. When will I use it? I will only use it if I have to make certain changes to standard SAP content. For example, if I'm not happy with the standard functionality of this particular bot and I want to make certain changes, SAP has delivered to you the entire code of this bot in the zip file. Now, what you need to do is just import this zip file in your desktop studio. Remember, that was your design time environment. Open that particular code, just change the workflows or whatever code that you want to write and re-import it here. Okay, so that is the first file which is available in every bot. The second file that is available is the input data file. Okay, so because the bot is going to take input from somewhere, SAP has also given you certain standard templates. For example, this particular bot will now expect the data to be available in a particular format which is specified in this Excel sheet. Okay, so it will tell you how the data has to be given. For example, let me also tell you, what this bot does. This is again a very, very important bot. What it does is automated list of ongoing projects, purchase requisitions, and purchase orders for terminated employees. So now this is something which happens in every organization. People come, people leave, right? So when a person is going to leave an organization, you need a ready list where all is this person engaged in, which are those active or ongoing projects that where he or she is working on, which are those purchase requisitions and purchase orders that he is engaged with. So in this bot, what you have to do is just give the employee ID and just give the termination date or the end date, and the bot is going to give you that report. Okay, so again, coming back to the standard files, so this is the second file which will be available for every bot, which is the input data format file. Let us go to the third file. The third file is called as the test script. So let me download the test script as well. Okay, yeah. So this is again a very detailed test script which will tell you what this particular bot does. Okay, in simple English language, it will tell you what is the basic purpose of this job of this particular bot, which are those roles that this particular bot would need for execution, what is the master data that is required, and also it will tell you some variables. Yeah, so I'm coming to that. So certain variables. I'll show you the variable section a little, in the system in a little while, but then you would yourself I mean, you can imagine that the bot needs to know which system does it need to connect to, so there is a variable called as system URL, wherein you will have to specify which is the URL of the S/4HANA or ERP system, and then which is the user credentials, with which user does it need to connect to. When the bot is successful, which is the recipient email address that it needs to send information to. So there is a section for these variables that needs to be created. And then in detail, it will tell you the step-by-step procedure how to execute this bot. Okay. So that was the third most important document available with every bot. And the last one is a config guide, which is common to all the bots. This will tell you the basic steps of configuring your cloud factory. Okay, I won't go into the detail of this because this is same for all bots. It will tell you how to set up agent, how to set up an environment, how to connect your cloud factory to desktop agent and all. Okay. Okay. So these are the files which are available for every bot. Okay, clear? Now let us see how to deploy that bot. So before that, let me also go into something called as an environment. So for people who are familiar with SAP Intelligent RPA, they would know what an environment is. But for colleagues who are not so familiar, let me quickly take them through this concept. So the environment is like a wrapper. So for example, I have created an environment with my name. Let me go inside that. In your product, in your systems, in your environment, it could be your development system environment, one environment for development, one for quality, one for production, or maybe some customers want to have a separate environment per line of business as well. So essentially, what does it do? Okay, so this is my environment. Let me go step by step. The most important thing which you can see here is the connection of this environment to something called as an agent. So what does it mean? It means that whatever bots that I'm going to deploy in my environment, they will run in these agents. Agents are nothing but physical machines or user IDs. So I have mentioned that currently this is my user ID in SAP. So, and I have specified the machine name also inside that. So any bot that gets deployed in this environment will be available to me in this agent. Similarly, I will be deploying different packages in the environment. So currently I have already deployed the sales order package. I've already deployed the purchase acquisition package. So all these packages will then be deployed. I will also have to create a trigger for these packages. Like when should this bot run? Whether it should run in attended mode, unattended mode, things like that. And the last part is the variables. Okay, so you remember, I mean, in the test script out here, we saw there was a section called as variables. For example, which is that URL that this system, this bot needs to connect to, which is that email address where the email needs to be sent to. So all those details have to be specified in this section called as variable. So in this example, this is for purchase requisition. So this was the variable name. From where did I get the variable name? From the test script of the purchase acquisition bot. So I will specify that this here. And what is the value? The value is this, which means that when this bot runs, it will go to this location in my computer and will read this particular Excel sheet as an input file. Okay. All right. So that was the basic setup. Now let us see how to deploy the bot. So just to rewind back, what did we do was we went to the store, we selected one particular bot and we acquired it. Okay. The next step that we have to do in order to deploy this bot is just click on this button called as add trigger. Okay. So just as we click on this button of add trigger, it will ask us the first question, which environment do you want to run this bot? Okay. So that is the reason why I gave a little bit of introduction on the environment. So here for the bot, I have to just select that, okay, I want to run this bot in my environment. The next thing the bot should ask me is the mode of operation. That is whether you want to run the bot in an attended mode or in a scheduled or an unattended mode. There is also a third mode called API, which is a little complex for this webinar. So I may want to skip it unless there is a question data. So say I will select, I want to run this bot in a attended mode and I will just click on next. So here I have to specify, okay, when do I want this bot to be available, from which date to which date, which time and all. I'll select and just click on create. And that is it. That is it, you know, it's as simple. The bot has now got deployed. So if you would just see, it didn't take us more than 5 to 10 minutes to go to the bot store from the Cloud Factory, select a particular bot, acquire it in the Cloud Factory, and create a trigger in the environment. Now, the next thing that we have to do is just ensure that all the variables are correct. Okay, so I will have to go to the test script of this bot. go to that section of variables, just ensure that I create those variables so that the bot knows which system to connect to, which user ID to use, which email address to send the mail to, things like that, and just prepare the data of this bot in the correct format of the input file. That is it. It is as simple as that. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me now switch hats. So till now I was deploying the bots. Now let us try and execute a bot. Okay, so I have minimized all windows. Now I have changed my hat to an end user. Okay, now imagine that I am an end user who is working, say, in one of the departments of a company, say the purchase department of a company, and I receive a lot of purchase requisition data in Excel sheets, and and I would be very happy now if there is a bot, and if I can just click one button, and all these purchase requisitions can get created in the system itself automatically. So for that, I have already created a Excel file in a particular folder, which was suggested to me by my administrator. So my administrator told me that, okay, please go to your C drive data folder, something like that, and create an Excel sheet out there with the input data. So let me open this Excel sheet. So as you can see, there are 4 line items here for the purchase order. It talks about, what is the purchase requisition type, some description, then it has got the item data as well. So for all these 4 purchase requisition, what is the item that I want to purchase, material group, quantity, accounting data, address, things like that. Now, if I did not have a bot, I would be now typing all these entries in the system. Now imagine, now thank God that I have got this little purple color icon on my taskbar, which is called as a desktop agent. So this is the third component of RPA, which I talked about. If you remember, the first component was a desktop studio, which was a design time environment. The second component was a cloud factory, which we just saw. And the third component is called as a desktop studio, okay, which is the small, very lightweight on-premise component which the end users of any company will have to install. So as you can see, I have access to, say, deploy or execute these 5 bots currently. And just for you to notice, the first bot which we see here, ongoing projects, PRs and POs, this is the same bot that we deployed just now. Okay, so you can see that the bot that we deployed just now has also come in the desktop agent for me to execute. But for the time being, let me create the purchase requisition first. So what I will do is I will just click on this button called as create purchase requisition, fold my hands, sit on the chair, recline it a bit and relax. Okay. Because there is a blue colored icon that has appeared here, which means that the bot is running. It has automatically opened that Excel sheet. It is now reading the information out of that Excel sheet and comprehending it. And I am now assuming that it will go to the S4HANA system, which I have maintained in the Cloud Factory, and go and create certain purchase requisitions there. Okay. So the bot is doing the job for itself, for me. This bot also is supposed to send me an email once the job gets over. Okay, so let me quickly check my Outlook as well if there is an email that has come. And yes, it has. So current time in India is 1:50 p.m., 28th of July. That is now. The bot has sent me an Excel sheet as well as an output. Let me just open that Excel and see what has happened. It says that, okay, I went to this particular system, ran with this user, and these are the 4 purchase requisitions that have been created for me. Okay. So this is how our standard best practice content is able to simplify the lives, of different stakeholders. In the first part, we saw how easy it is to consume this particular these particular standard best practices bots and deploy those. And now, just now, we saw how easy it is for the end users of a company to just execute these bots and get the job done. Okay. So, okay, maybe, okay, I think we just have 9 minutes left. So let me complete, the remaining slides, not much, and then we can open it up for questions. We also have a roadmap, as I said, this is, we already have 100 bots that are available. And then for Q3 and beyond as well, for every line of business, we have many bots that are planned also. You know. So currently in this session, what I focused on was S/4HANA. So we have around, I think, 60 bots available for S/4HANA. We have around 20 best practice bots available for ECC as well. And in the roadmap, we will also be providing this best practice content for our other applications like Ariba, SuccessFactors, Concur as well going forward. We have lots of focus these days on something called as extended edition. So if some of you are also engaged in a SAP S/4HANA Cloud Extended Edition, we have bots available there as well. We have released many bots and we have plans of releasing many other bots as well. Okay, the last topic on my agenda for this webinar was the trial. So as I mentioned earlier, this is also a call to action to all the colleagues who are attending this particular webinar. We just did not want RPA to be available only on PPTs and some demo systems. So for that, in order that you can explore the solution and do a hands-on approach, we have also released a 90-day free trial offer for SAP Intelligent RPA. So all our customers, our prospective customers, partners, individual colleagues, they can just register to the trial system using your personal email address as well, and you can subscribe to the 90-day trial. You will have access to all the bot store content that I showed you in the presentation. You will also have access to the desktop studio, wherein you can design your custom bots, and then you can also connect all these bots, the standard ones, the custom ones, to your ERP systems as well, and explore for yourself. So this is really a very good opportunity, and we have seen a lot of customers taking advantage of this as well. Okay, some links. Yeah, so there are beautiful open SAP courses that have been released by SAP, both from a functional and a technical perspective, which talk about the basics of RPA, about the standard content that we have, about custom content, that is how to create a custom bot. So I would encourage you to please go through these open courses as well if you want to know more about RPA. And yeah. So I think, yeah, pretty much, that was the content that I wanted to cover in the webinar. I think now we can open the floor for questions, Svea.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much for these interesting insights. I have also posted some links in the chat and also where you can find the recording. And we have a few more questions here. So I start with the first one. Can one have access of ERPA for learning and practice like EDIS? So, I mean, this is maybe related to the trial version you just mentioned, right?
Exactly. So similar to EDIS system, you can just try logging in and subscribing to the 90-day free trial, and you will have access to it.
Perfect. Scope LDS link to RPA are not provided as default in standard ES cloud version. So activating them is chargeable. This is again a question for charging.
Can you please repeat the question? I could not understand it.
When you click on the Q&A at the bottom,
Yes.
you can also read it. This is from Swati Balani.
Okay, scope IDs. Okay, scope IDs linked to RPA are not provided as default in standard ES cloud version, so activating them is chargeable. No, so as I said, we will not charge based on the bots that you deploy or use. So you can use as many number of standard bots or even create custom bots. The only charging metrics is the number of transactions of RPA that happen.
Okay, perfect. So this has already been done. Douglas is asking why using Intelligent RPA is better than using traditional scheduled LSMW or BAPIs. Is this scenario where the task is about reading data from an Excel file and creating purchase orders?
Right. So this question has also come up from many of our partners and customers, because there the parallel that we are trying to draw is, there is in ERP or in any on-premise system, if we had to do data migration, then we used to use something called as LSMW mechanism. So RPA is not a substitute, I would say, for data migration. It also offers this functionality as a part of many other functionalities. I mean, you can either create LSMW programs for every customer on a custom basis, or you can also use these standard bots that are provided by RPA. Not only that, I mean, these bots will offer you an additional functionality. First of all, these are standard. uh, the logs would definitely be there in the cloud factory. If there is any error, you can see the logs for yourself. On top of that, you also have various added functionalities like reading from or integrating it with your Microsoft Outlook and any other third-party application. So otherwise, you would have to create all these custom programs for yourself. So now with RPA, which is a much more sophisticated platform than an LSMW, you can do all these things and more.
Great,
I hope,
perfect.
Douglas, I was able to answer. Okay, yeah, great. Let's move ahead.
Perfect. Puya is asking, do we have to follow the same software components for Mac?
Yeah,
Interesting
I think for
question.
Mac, yeah, for Mac, I think there is a different way in which we have to access. I think we have to access via a virtual desktop, because the desktop agent that we have right now only works for Windows machines. But it does not mean that users who are using Mac cannot access RPA. So you will have to log in through a remote desktop and then use our functionalities.
All right. And an anonymous attendee is asking, I recently heard we have a beta version coming up. Can you please let us know how do we
Yeah.
get a trial beta version of RPA?
Correct. Yeah. So let us also understand what is this beta version for. So if you remember, the first component of RPA that I mentioned was the desktop studio, which is the design time environment to create a custom bot. So right now it is available as an on-premise component. So now what we are also trying to do is move this component to cloud. So we have something called as a cloud studio, which is coming up in the next few releases. And we have already started, or maybe in this month or next month, we are going to start a beta program wherein we will invite certain selected customers, and they can try out this new feature of our cloud studio. So that is the beta version which is going to come.
Very good. I think we will take one more question, and the last, we have to maybe cover in a blog post or something. So there are more
Yeah.
questions, and I have also posted here the links to contact AJ. If you want to contact him directly via community, for example, feel free to do that. Maybe the last question. How do you count the transactions in RPA for charges? Can you please show a demo system to clarify further if we have to explain this to customers? I don't know if we can cover this in a minute.
Yeah, so maybe we may not be able to cover this in a minute, but Swati, what we can do is we can go to the Cloud Factory, and in that there is a monitoring tab. So in the monitoring tab, we can see the number of transactions that have already taken place, and then based on that, we can come to know, the usage.
Okay. All right, then I think the last questions we should cover maybe in a follow-up blog post if you are able to summarize the whole call and also the already answered questions. So we have already 12 answered questions. I think it was a great call, very good insights. So I can only thank you for having been part of the SAP Community calls, AJ. And thanks to all attendees for joining today. And I wish everyone a good day and hope to see you in one of the next community calls.
Thank you. Thanks, Surya. Thanks, everyone. Hope it was 1 hour well spent. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Bye-bye.